Okay, I've started something, and so I thought I would share and document it. So what I'm doing today is I'm trying to figure out how to combine images and not be a slave to an image. So if I've taken an image myself, or I found one on Unsplash or Pexels, how do I take that image and then make it into something that is illustrative and from me, instead of it just being a copy of the picture? I had a comment on one of my videos of a subscriber who was saying, the thing I'm trying to work on is to try to do that, is to try to do exactly that. And I was like, oh yes, like this is probably the challenge for so many of us who are maybe in the amateur level artists. Like, we can create something if we have a good image that is similar to that, or we can copy something that somebody else has done, but creating something brand new from our own imagination is a little bit more challenging. So what I've done so far this morning is I thought I would make a series of prints and work in series this time of something similar to this that I love, that I made, and that I could say is mine. Like, this is an image that isn't copied from anywhere. It's heavily influenced by, oh gosh, what's his name? Oh, I'll put his book up. Very much influenced by him, but it's mine. And so what I want to do is to make a bunch of other ones like that. So what I found, I've been printing out from Pexel and Unsplash some different images. So I had, yeah, these are a couple of little red birds, and these are some scenes, like a countryside scene and another like rural countryside scene. And what I want to do is take elements from these pictures, but like mash them together or change them in such a way that you can sort of see the ghost of the image, but it's now turned into something totally different. So in order to start, what I did, because this isn't going to be where it's finally done, I thought I'd work out the composition on just some cheap craft paper. And so I'm taking the image of the village countryside and just drawing the outline of it. So I'm not copying all of the elements, but I'm really asking myself, what is it about this image that I like the most? And I'll have the image on the screen as you're listening to this. I really love the little green, sagey green door, and I really love the dormers, and I love how the light kind of shines out of those window panes. But I do want to make this scene into a more evening, nighttime scene, and so those panes are going to end up being more yellow, warm yellow color as I'm putting my image together. And then the image of the bird, the thing that I love about that is the way the twigs have this jaggedy kind of how do you say, like, you know, when you're drawing it, your pencil will go along and then stop, and then go along and then stop. And so I love that. And of course I love the bird and the position of the bird, the way we're seeing the different colors of the feathers in that bird. And I love the pieces of snow coming down. I want this to feel like the snow has only just started. Like, you can see in the image how the snow is only just starting to build up on the twigs. And so I'm going to add snowdrops, or make snowdrops in my image that are indicating that at this village street, this bird is sitting on a branch overlooking the house that has glowing yellow windows, and it is just starting to snow. So that's the story I want to tell with this, and I'm mashing these two images. And I have a start. I'm showing you the start on the screen right now of what I think I'm going to do, and I'm going to work out my values, and then I'm going to try and do it with a jelly plate and some collage. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I just noticed something that I thought would be fun to point out, and that is that my reference image here is more of a spring or fall reference, because what I'm seeing in here, I mean, there's moss on the roof. Of course, there's the ivy and everything that's growing up here.
and the leaves look like they're starting to turn yellow. So I would say that this is maybe more of a fall time picture, as well as there's a little bit of puddles here. Anyway, all that to say, what I don't want in my image is fall. I want it to read as winter, because that's the thing that I love about this image is the winter feeling. But I don't want this bird to feel so alone. I want this bird to be looking in on something, a human establishment of some kind, right? So how do you do that? How do you think about that? And what came up for me is that, pull this down a little bit, I started to do a couple of thumbnails in order to like see, because as I was working through this, I noticed that the bird looks too low. I would like the bird to be a little higher. So I thought, well, should I just cut it and try like to figure out exactly how high the bird should be that's looking down on this? And I thought, well, I mean, that's one way to do it, but I thought, well, I could just do a thumbnail and do it. So in this thumbnail, I'm showing the bird higher, and that happening with the building taking up that space, and having the road really the thing that meets the corner, and paying attention, of course, to what meets the corner. So I want the sky and the road to meet the corner. I don't want the building to meet the corner. And over here, again, I want the ground and the sky to meet the corners. But what I was starting to work off here was to say, is this going to be like all dark? Is it going to be like a composition that looks like, kind of like my darkest darks are in this kind of an area, and then I have some midtones over here with some lights sprinkled through? Or what is another way that I could try it? This is a practice that I have often done even for architectural projects, where I would provide a couple of different options. So I'm providing myself a couple of different options by thinking it through in little vignettes. So here I thought, well, what if the tree is more of the like dark? And so first thing I drew was like the dark part of the tree. And then I thought, what if there's some reedy like foliage on this side, because it's not really defined. And of course, in this picture, the other side is not super defined, and it doesn't really meet my compositional needs, right? I'm gonna need to have dark darks somewhere in the composition. So there's my red bird with his slightly, there we go. So if I tried this out, what came up was, I thought, oh, against the building, in our original image, we have something like ivy or roses, something like that. But of course, that's not going to suit me for my winter scene. So this is the whole reason for this little piece of the video, is to say that I started thinking, well, what if I had grasses here? And I thought, aha, now I'm on the right track, because now I'm really taking this image and only taking the pieces that I'm really interested in, which is the shape here, the windows with their divided lights, and the dormers, this door. And you see, I don't want the building to be the corner. I want it to be the sky, because there's something to do with snow coming down that I think is really interesting, to have the sky, like if this is the side of this image and I have the building not in it, if I make sure that the sky is up here with the snow, that can be part of the light, the lighter values. Ooh, I'm bumping my camera by doing this, scribbling with the Neocolor. Big, wet, chunky flakes. Anyway, so there's another way that you can do. You can take and start to say, I'm going to change the foliage. Instead of having whatever foliage is in your image, maybe I'm going to change it the season, and therefore I'm going to change what it is. Maybe I'm going to have grasses, because grasses in the winter still have this different texture that is really sweet, really wintry. And I can put them in clumps, or I can put them like the way I'm drawing them now. But I kind of like this kind of mark making. And then I can decide, how does the snow start to develop on those grasses? Like when it's just starting to hit the grasses, how does it collect, and how does it how does that feel and look? All right, so that's what I discovered right now. I'm gonna keep going. Show you what I was just doing. So I started with a sketch on top of a jelly print that I made a few days ago, and I thought, I remember I wanted to work in series, so let me get a couple more jelly prints ready. So here's what I was doing that you saw. Maybe what I need to do is turn this over so you can see this properly. So this jelly plate is a 8x10. My other one's a 9x12. And so what I did here is, this is acrylic on, oh my God, sometimes this is more for my own reference than even for sharing with you guys. I love this iridescent pearl color. It's really, really shimmery and lovely. And then this graphite gray, my son picked out because he was using it for some models, but I really actually like it myself. This is rather thick because it's like full body or heavy body or something like that. And so I use this thing, GAC 100, acrylic primer and extender. So this helps it to not go dry too fast, but it also thins it out. So that's what you saw me doing there. And I'm just applying it with these brushes that I found a whole set of them on Amazon for a really good price, like $6 for a big set of these things, and they really work pretty well, so I'll link them below. Anyway, so this one you may have seen, or maybe it was too fast. I dropped on the light color, the snowdrops in the iridescent pearl fine first, and then let them dry while I was working on the other jelly plate. And then I came back when my snowdrops were hopefully dry and mixed some of these two together. So there's varying degrees of lights and darks. And then I brushed it on with a rather big, let me clean this brush off so that you can see the size. So, I mean, it's not that big, but it's an 8. It's an 8, and I think this is a, bright, the style of it. Anyway, I put it on with that. And so it leaves all of these wonderful textury marks, and it's gonna take a while for it to dry. So this one is set aside in what is now sunshine coming through but I'm so excited for this one. You can kind of see what it'll look like if you flip it over. This is gonna be a great start for collage. And then I tried to do something pretty different with this one. So you can see that this one has a lighter touch. And so same thing, went down first with the snowflakes, but then I didn't really go over the top of snowflakes. I decided to kind of cut in around them with gray color. And to make some more intentional marks here. You can really see the outline of the tree. You can really see the grasses in front of the houses. Oh, and by the way, with jelly printing, you have to do everything backwards or mirrored, because of course, when I pull the print, it's going to come off mirrored. It's going to come off in a different way. So that's how come my tree is over here and what my building is going to be on this side, but it'll be the same way that I wanted it from before once I pull the print, and I'll show you how I do that. Anyway, this one's in a much lighter hand, so you can see those snowflakes, how it's going to show up. This one's already pretty much dry, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go do some housework, and then I'll come back when these are both fully dry, and then I'll pull the prints and I'll show you how that's done. All right. I unloaded the dishwasher in case anyone was wondering what I was doing for my housework. Okay, so let's pull these prints and have our starting point for collage and probably just acrylic painting over the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this because I just have it around. I don't use it to watercolor with, but I use the paper because it's a nice weight for pulling prints that are going to be my base for my collages. And to pull the print up, I'm just going to use this acrylic primer because it's clear and it's not going to cause anything. So I'm just going to put a little on there and roll it. Now that primer is going to stick to the acrylic paint that's below. It's kind of like creating a very fancy plastic bag, because that's what acrylic is, painting with plastics. All right, so now I've got a nice thin coat of that all over the whole jelly plate, 8 by 10, and no, this is the 9 by 12. This is the big one. All right, so that should be good. All right, let's hope that it pulls nicely. All right, which side do I like to work on? Man, I'm gonna choose the smoother side, which I think is the back side. All right. Now, I've seen some people who say to get a perfect jelly print that doesn't have any little pieces of acrylic not pulling off of the plate, that they put heavy books on it and leave it there overnight. I am just not at the place in my life where I have that kind of patience. I would rather have little bits that don't pull up and see it right away. Okay, though I am a little nervous right now because I really want it to turn out beautifully, not just because you're on camera, but because I really liked the thing. Let's see how it will look if everything pulls up. Oh gosh, that's so cool. That's so cool. All right, let's hope all of that acrylic stays right on my paper. So far okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, so pretty. It's so pretty just the way it is. How am I gonna draw over the top of this? You tell me. I do not know. Oof. It's a little workout for my hands. There it is. Oh, so cool. I'm so excited. I don't know if you can really see it as well as I can, but it has so much potential. It has so much potential. I just cannot wait to go over the top of this now. Oh my gosh. This is why I'm doing this in a series, because I was already getting excited about this one because I thought, oh, this is good. I'm gonna mess it up. And then I started getting nervous. So I thought, let me just make a new jelly. Now I'm afraid to work on this one because I love this one so much. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can reduce my anxiety about touching this one by pulling the other print and see if that one is just as cool as this one. Okay. So this is it. Maybe it won't be as cool, and then I'll be like ready to work on it because it's not as awesome as the other one. All right. This one's a little different, I guess. This is Biggie Jr., but it's stuff I had around and stuff that I don't usually actually use for watercolor. Okay. My tree didn't come through very well on that one. I guess I painted over it too fast. Okay. All right, so a little bit of this, what is it called? Jack 100. Jack 100. Oops, maybe I put too much. All right, let's see. Oh my gosh, this is definitely thicker than what I usually do. Get it thinned out a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. And the roller is gonna be such a hot mess to clean. Okay. Okay. Let's pull that print before it dries. All right. Maybe I should cover my gack too before that dries up. It is an extender, but it will dry. It's like a glue. It's really very gluey. All right. All right, that feels like it's catching. Let's see. Well, I mean, this looks cool. Looks pretty awesome. Let's see if it pulls. Oh yeah, it's doing nicely. A little bit of non-pull on the edges, but I kind of love that. Love that edge. Wow. Okay. Oops. These guys. Some of this is not sticking, which is going to make for a very cool print in the next go around, but let's see if I can get as much as possible to come off. Remember, I laid this down really thick, so this one truly is like a plastic bag. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so this little piece at the bottom didn't pull. Which will make it cool for the next one. And this one doesn't have as much of a directionality. You know, like I could turn it this way and still have the same painting. Like I could collage on top of this and it would be just as fine because my tree didn't really come through as much as it did on this one. All right, onward. Let's see what comes up next. Hi, it's the next day, and I wanted to share where I'm at with all of this because I think this video is gonna have to be split into a couple of different pieces. So as you just saw, I started out
with some sketches on craft paper. And then I tried it with some jelly printing. So here's where this is. And then there's another one. And finally, here's the third one that I thought was most promising at the beginning. And as you can see, they're all totally in progress. Oh, and then today, I thought I'd do a little watercolor. So in each of these, it's interesting, I learned something, and I'm going to keep taking this forward, but I think now that I'm going to do it in watercolor. So I was working through these, and as you notice, they're all in the landscape format, and I thought, well, what I'm really trying to show here is that it's just starting to snow, right? So how come I'm showing it in landscape? Because it's not really about the building, and the orientation of the original picture was this landscape picture. And I thought, but if I'm talking about it just snowing, there should be more of the sky and of the snow. So I thought, let me try a version that is in, what do we call this? Portrait. And I did that on the craft paper. So now I'm kind of pleased. I'm liking the shape of the building. I'm liking some of the winter foliage that I'm bringing in the front. I like the size of and the placement of the bird. And now the last piece, I think, is to play with some textures and to see if I pull it up on some watercolor paper and start to use those like scratchy textures, like Shirley Trevena kind of thing, and maybe even some other materials besides watercolor, like what could come of it. So I think what I'll do is I'll split this into 2 or 3 parts, and this will be the first part, and I will update you when I've made some progress. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.